September 26, 2016. We have a roll call, Mrs. Brino.
Simmons? Carroll? Here. Marks? Present. Ford? Here. Paredes?
Here, the quorum is present. Okay. The quorum is present. First up, we have audience comments. Community members wishing to be heard by the board from assignment before the commencement of the meeting. I certainly appreciate those who have done that. Visitors wishing to comment upon an item on the agenda will be recognized by the board president, myself, during the consideration of that item. According to board policy 2230, the board president has the authorization to restrict comments to 5 minutes. For ethical and legal reasons, comments or communications regarding school personnel who work in the district will not be heard in this format. During this part of the meeting, audience to visitors will be limited to 15 minutes or less. So I really appreciate everyone's attendance, and we certainly want to hear from all of you who would like to make a comment. We have 6 people who have signed up, and what we're going to do is try to limit that to 15 minutes. So with that, we ask that no one exceeds 5 minutes, and I'll give you the 5 signs if you do. Certainly those of you who can very succinctly get to your comment as quickly as possible, and certainly the other people who would like to make a comment, we certainly appreciate that as well. So with that said, first up, we have Mariba Woods from Flossmoor Hills. Ms. Woods.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mariba Woods. I am a parent and student at both Flossmoor Hills and a student at Parker. I am here to address some concerns about Flossmoor Hills. I am also the treasurer for the Flossmoor Hills PTO. So for the past 3 years, we've been waiting for the library in Flossmoor Hills to be upgraded. In an effort to assist, the PTO set aside money to purchase items that would be needed, bookcases, chairs, whatever the amount of money would cover that we set aside. I guess my major concern is, or our concern is, what's taking so long for the upgrade. We knew at one time the carpet had to be replaced. There was concern that maybe asbestos under the carpet or something of that sort. But again, this has been 3 years. And so the money we have set aside is only set aside for a limited amount of time. And so I guess my concern is, when will the upgrade take place? In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it could be done over the winter break to replace the carpet. Items can already be ordered so that it can move pretty quickly, but this needs to take place sooner than later. I would hate for Flossmoor Hills to lose that money that's been set aside to assist them. The other thing that I have, I'm sorry, I didn't want to answer the question. Maybe do you have an idea when it's going to take place?
We can get back to you.
The other thing is, while we're on the subject of the library, it angers me to know that $162,000 of Title I funds were wasted last year. That was money that could have been used to assist with buying equipment for the library. You use that to purchase books, equipment, etc. And so, my concern is that Title I only allows you to carry over 15%. $162,000 is way over 15% that was allotted. So did our district submit a waiver to request to keep all of the money, or do we lose that money? That would be a missed opportunity. Do we have an answer for that?
You said 160.
$162,000. It's on the free, it's on ISB's website. And it is included, $162,000.
I believe it is, yes.
To the gentleman.
Ms. Woods, we will get back to you on that, I promise.
If a waiver has not been submitted, it needs to be done sooner than later because that money is allocated in October generally. So it'll be your total Title I amount plus the 15, plus whatever carryover was approved by the Illinois State Board of Education. And just a suggestion, so that you won't have carryover from year to year, is it possible for administrative staff, central office staff, to sit down with your principals of your targeted assisted schools and to meet with them to see what their needs are? Because they can tell you better than anyone else what their needs are for their students. That will prevent you from having this issue again next year.
Thank you, Ms. Owens.
What is the dollar amount you quoted? It's $162,000.
Okay. Next on the agenda, oh, sorry. Next on the list, we have Beth Wright. Ms. Wright.
The old teacher in me never dies. I would like to, my name is Beth Wright. I am a parent of 2 children at Parker and 1 at Western Avenue, and I would like to begin tonight by thanking Dr. Rosen for an absolutely fabulous beginning of the year, back to school picnic, et cetera, Emerson's love in 3rd grade. So thank you for that. And then I would also like to say, they're not here, but if people could spread the word, my children at Parker, their teachers, their coaches, they have really maintained a sense of calm and steady while there's been a lot of turmoil for the children. And so my children have come home and things are just progressing. And I know that's in large part to the teachers of the building, and we never need to forget the people on the front lines. My handouts, there's 3 pieces of paper that I handed the board. First of all is a document that was attached to the board agenda tonight under discussion of audience, et cetera, and in it states the role of the superintendent. And I'm wondering then why an additional consultant is on the agenda to present the map data, because it is clearly outlined in the role of the superintendent. I have already bolded it, that the superintendent should be communicating map results, data, et cetera, to us. The superintendent began the communication with the community with his letter that he sent home a few weeks ago about the errors and scores that were posted on the district website. And through this document, it appeared that he should finish the conversation with the community. Second of all, if you look over our strategic plan, it's the short version, not the long version, that is on the district website that I was part of creating, right? We'll call it that. As I look through our goals, I don't see one measurable goal. If you look, it's develop. In such words like that, there is not one measurable thing in that entire strategic plan. There is no place that you're going to use any quantitative data to measure student success. That is a huge problem. And I understand that you have them in the school improvement plans, but our overarching district goals for student achievement should be represented in this strategic plan. This is very, very troubling to me. But probably the most concerning of my findings, that now that I've made creeping around on the district website, one of my part-time jobs, is finding the Parker School Improvement Plan. In that document, there is a area of improvement or area that we are going to measure where we are expecting 100% of African American students will increase on spring math. Let that settle in for a minute, folks. We don't care about the Hispanic kids. We don't care about the white kids. We don't care about the Asian kids. We only are going to target the African American kids. And we expect them to grow 100%. All of them. Every single one of them. We don't care if the white kids grow. We don't care if the purple kids grow. We don't care if the green ones grow. From my learnings, I think this pretty much is probably an Office of Civil Rights violation. That you have targeted one race and you are only measuring one race. You expect that race to grow. So I'm appalled by this goal and it needs to be removed immediately or I will contact the Office of Civil Rights. Now on a happier note. Potbelly tomorrow night from 4 to 7 is sponsoring the cross-country team. So everybody go to Potbelly and have your sandwich or whatever for dinner. And 25% of the proceeds goes to sponsor our cross-country team. That is going to conference on Friday. My little 6th grader is very excited about missing school for a day so he can go to conference. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Next, we have Mark Matthews, thinking critically about data.
Well, thank you, President Freddy's, board members, and Oscar. First, I'd like to just take a quick moment to say thank you for some progress I've seen in communications about daily schoolwork, getting home from Parker. Students have assignment books, yay. Google Classroom, Guardian Access, at least for those that have asked for access to that, seems to be working, so those are all good things. For those of you that don't know me very well, I work on large-scale computer systems performance analysis. I build tools that analyze thousands of measurements a minute to try and optimize performance of places like Facebook and Twitter and Google. I feel there are many parallels between that work and that of managing student performance based on standardized test scores, which is why I'm here tonight. As board members, you'll see numerous summaries of our students' performance on NWEA and CART tests. In fact, there's one scheduled for this evening. Historically, these summaries have used single-value statistics, such as means, medians, and norms, to describe the state of our students' learning. What I'd like the board to understand is that the use of these statistical methods produces partial truths. In the search to create a single descriptive performance number, one that is quick to present and easy to digest, some data must be invariably thrown away. Unfortunately, the data that is often thrown away or reduced to footnotes are the outliers and clusters of values that aren't part of the norm. Unconsciously or consciously, the method the statistician chooses ends up suppressing or misrepresenting each individual student's educational experience that the raw data represents. It is well known that interesting problems exist in these clusters and the outliers, not at the mean or median performance levels. Values like average often don't describe any meaningful performance at all. It is in the best interest of our students that this board has made available to it reports on performance data that include less reduced data, visualizations such as histograms, cluster plots, and outliers so that you can have those interesting discussions that lead to making progress on the issues that are representative of the learning experiences of all of our students. There's never been as much access to tools that help us be critical thinkers when looking at data. We strive to teach our 21st century learners to be critical thinkers. Here's a chance to lead by example and be critical thinkers about the performance data. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Next, we have Cameron Nelson, System Hack and Test Scores.
So, two things I'd like to talk about. First thing is, we had a data breach last week, and I'm concerned that the school district really hasn't taken it seriously enough. For some of you that don't know, from Ms. Marino's account, an email was sent out. It was a fairly sophisticated phishing scam, one that indicates, I was in London with the FBI Director of Cybersecurity last week, right before this happened, so I had a conversation with him about it. The scam, the file that was sent out indicates to me that someone had direct access to Ms. Marino's account, and because of her trusted position within the school, I suspect that many users who received an email put in their username and password thinking it was actually an encrypted file. Usually we see rates of 50-60% in phishing scams. So what does that do? That means some hacker got username and passwords for probably similar to you and a number of community members. And what is the hacker going to do with that? Well, he's going to go, say, Steve, it was your account. He's going to take that username and password combination and he's going to try that on every known service, Twitter, Amazon, whatnot. I mean, this is a serious breach because a lot of people use the same password, and they're going to, these guys are smart enough to try it everywhere. What concerns me is communication wasn't great. I understand it's not a criticism of Mr. Lay. This kind of problem is not something that, I think a small IT department is supposed to handle, especially the volume of what needs to be done. But I seriously doubt, how do you properly deal with data breach? All the systems should have come down. Every switch, every managed switch, every router should be taken down, inspected, and put back up, traffic monitored, make sure outgoing traffic wasn't heading to China or Russia. And I seriously doubt that happened this weekend. So I have no confidence to deal with these problems on a daily basis. No confidence that you guys have actually cleaned the breach. It's not, you just don't have the resources to do it. The board should be asking itself whether it needs to dedicate additional resources in hiring someone to do that and look into it. Superintendent should have been looking at it over the weekend. Mr. Lay, there's just no way. I mean, I would know as a manager, right? If I had this problem in my firm, our systems would have come down. And the very first thing we would have done is brought in outside consultants because we just don't have the manpower. I have hundreds of people at the organization, so we don't have the manpower. So you guys have to. All right, so that said, if you could open that file, please, Ms. Brino.
Am I okay on her?
One that says open me.
Wait, is it safe to open a file that you bring in, Mr. Wilson?
So this is,
I think it's fair, given that we just had a lecture on cybersecurity.
so this is these are the actual test scores. And so we saw a presentation last week about test scores and the stuff on the data dashboard. And there's something that really troubled me about the whole process. So for years, I've been coming to board meetings and asking for raw data on test scores. I mean, why on earth do we have to wait till September, October to see test scores? The school receives this data in June. They receive it 3 days after testing ended. So they have the data, and they sit on it. It seems to me any competent organization would want to look at this data right away, so they can make changes over the summer when they have problems. But not only in years of coming to board meetings, we've never seen any of the raw data. Not only has the superintendent put a lot of effort into fighting to prevent the release of the raw data, you guys have never seen it. I've never seen a board meeting where this information was presented to you. And what renewed my interest in it was they actually sat through a board meeting last in June, and someone asked for it, and I couldn't believe that an administrator has a fiduciary duty to tell you what's in the data, would say, oh, we'll get to it in October. But anyways, that said, we heard some representations from the administration last week about what is or is not in the data. And so we go to the third page, Sabrina. This chart is the district as a whole. Come back to this one for a second. But I want to show you something. This is a pre-made chart. Please go on to the third page, please.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's fine. But Mr. Nelson, you have 2 minutes.
Yep, thank you. So this is Parker, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So we had a discussion last week about the data dashboard. And I'll be perfectly honest, it's my opinion that the administration intentionally misrepresented test scores. And here's why.
Mr. Nelson, I'm going to really caution you not to read minds. If you would describe behavior or something you notice, that's fine.
Here's why. This document is a raw document from NWA. You know, these people get paid a lot of money to figure out the right way to present the data, send it to schools, or send it to every school in the country, just like this. And you can see right here, look at 6th grade. This is growth, okay? That's national average. That's actual growth in 6th grade. It's not supposed to look like that. And that's shocking to see. And what was more shocking to see, now, I don't stand up here and represent to you on a monthly basis, and I'm intimately familiar with data. I've heard that representation from various administrators for years. I had this for about 5 minutes and said, what the heck? This doesn't match what's on the district website. So I have trouble believing that someone who's intimately familiar with the data can miss it. Time?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So that's just some of the data. Some of it's available for those of you who want to see it. I can get you copies of it. But I don't think the question of how that data was misrepresented on the website
Mr. Nelson,
is feasible. So
I appreciate your attention to the data. I think it's very important. I appreciate your involvement with the district. I think it's admirable. We are out of time. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Aisha. I'm going to help me with last name. Lost my name.
Aisha Lucci.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about the test scores. I also examined the data, and in general, it seems that the test scores for our district are trending down the past few years. As a taxpayer and a parent of 2 children in the district, this troubles me. I'd like to know, have we examined why this has happened, and how do we plan to address it? Also, over the past few years, obviously our district has become more diverse. We have more diverse income levels, different ethnicities, etc. And some of those subgroups represent the lowest test scores in the district. I'd like to know, is there a plan in place to assess what resources are needed to bring these services to the students that they need to perform up to par? And what is the plan in general to bring them up to par academically? I also wanted to address the Title I funds. As an idea, perhaps some of those funds could be better utilized by actually coming up with services and resources for the students who are falling behind.
Thank you very much. I sure appreciate that. Some of the things that you touched on, address in our regular agenda. Thank you. Mr. Carvalho, you want to speak?
Thank you. Very briefly, my name is David Carvalho. I've only come to 2 school board meetings since I left the board. I served as president for 10 years. I came to the board meetings when presidents changed. To thank the board's president for their service, and Steve, I hope you're not leaving. That's not why I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here because I received an email, and it disturbed me because of the tone and the accusations. And I've seen some of that tonight too. And so the only point I want to make, I don't want to address any specifics. I just want to say, encourage everybody to remember, this is an enterprise, the goal of which is to improve the education of every child in the district. And everything you say, everything you should do, every accusation you make, every observation you make, should have in mind, what can we do to improve the education of our kids? Because of the structure of a school board meeting, you're here at regular times and you have this opportunity to speak. And if someone wants to, they can just throw pot shots at you and make accusations, and you basically have to grin and bear it. But it's not good. It doesn't improve things. It may get your, it may drive your ego, it may make you feel good, it may make you think you're doing something. But roll up your sleeves and get involved in your school and in school district-wide committees, and try to have a positive impact on what's going on in the schools. And you know, this email made allegations about investigations of FOIAs. And since I used to handle FOIAs at Cook County, I know the Attorney General doesn't investigate FOIAs. It's just the process in the law. People make FOIA requests for stuff that's not eligible for FOIA, and they don't know that. They're not FOIA experts, and so it gets turned down. And so appeal goes up. Where does the state statute say the appeal goes to? The Attorney General. It's just her job. I was the FOIA officer. Appeals went there all the time because people ask for stuff. You know. So the reason why I came was because the same thing's going on over HF, and people seem to think that if you just keep throwing enough pot shots, somehow that's what's going to make everything improve, and it doesn't. And there's not that. I don't want to make this personal. Superintendent, there's this thought people have that somehow if we make things hostile enough and create a hostile enough environment, we'll A, make the superintendent that we don't like go, and we'll get this perfect superintendent who's willing to work for the lowest salary in the state because we don't want to pay more than other districts do. And that person will want to step into a district that just tore apart its prior superintendent. It's going on over at HF, and I worry that it may be going on here. I'll be honest with you, other than a handshake, I've never even met Mr. Oster, and I don't know the current administrators. But please, focus on improving the school district, and what can you do in a positive way to improve it. And all of this snippiness just is not helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. At this time, the board will be entering into executive session to discuss personnel matters, 5 ILCS 120/2 C1 and negotiations 5 ILCS 120/2 C2. We'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session. Second, this is Ford. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, attention, will be in executive session for now 45 minutes.